Hey everybody, this is Professor Diffley. This is History 103, Ancient World. This is Module 2, Chapter 1. This is the third of the lecture videos here. So this is where we left off. I had just come to this slide, the out-of-Africa theory and debate. So let's start here. So out-of-Africa theory, what this means is that what it holds, the theory argues, is that all human beings today have an ancestral common African heritage, right, going back thousands, tens of thousands of years. That's what this is talking about. Now, why? Why do they think this is the case? The reason being, the oldest recorded bones of Homo sapiens, right? We are Homo sapiens sapiens. Homo sapien means wise human. Homo sapien sapien means wise human being. We are Homo sapiens sapiens. But the earliest Homo sapiens, which are beings that looked very much like us, start to look very much like us, began. So right now, the oldest recorded bones are about 160,000 years old, and they were found in Africa. And so that's what makes it the out-of-Africa theory. So again, this is what I was talking about. Modern humans are Homo sapiens sapiens. So ideas about race and culture come later, right? So just keep that in mind, right? There's one human race. So what we talk about is Homo sapiens sapiens. When we say a race, scientifically, that's what we mean, right? That sort of thing, a human being as a race. Now, culture, all those things, modern racism, that's well off into the future, so don't get confused with that sort of idea. And your book talks about this, and make sure to pay attention to that there. So again, we do all share a common genetic heritage. Differences between us today are mostly cultural. And, you know, what our differences on the outside look like, skin color, that sort of thing. That is genetic, but there is very little difference between that, right? A phenotype, the way we outwardly display, on our bodies, that is not separate us into different races. All that is what it does become popularly much later. So just remember that, right? Human beings are human beings. The color of their skin, that's not what we're talking about when we're talking about human beings as a race. And again, even then, but that's for another class and later. So why is there debate? I say there's debate of this. Well, because so far, remember I said studying prehistory can be difficult because evidence is spotty at times. So far this theory is holding up because that's where the oldest fossils have been found. Here, there in Africa. But what's starting to cause some debate is there have been old fossils, not as old, but nearly as old, say 140,000 years ago, that have been found in other areas other than Africa, such as Asia, Peking Man, what is today China. Very far away from Africa, there are Homo sapien archaeological remains that are very close in age to the oldest African ones. So that's creating some debate, right? Maybe the out-of-Africa theory needs to be revisited. Maybe human beings were, started in, Asia and then moved to Africa and elsewhere. Well, again, that will only become the case if we find older bones somewhere else. There's other theories too and debates on this. Maybe human beings popped up independently all over the planet at the same exact time. And right now, because we found in this part of Africa, in Olduvai Gorge and others, which discussed in your textbook and things like that, where things are preserved really well because of the dry climate, maybe it's just happenstance that we're finding the oldest things there. Again, we don't know until we'll find it. But right now, this is where all the evidence points. And again, that's what we talk about in the history and the scientific world when someone says a theory. It means all the available evidence, and there's a ton of it, says this. But again, hedging their bets, never saying that anything is 100% true, right? Things can always change. So there. So what caused human beings to go from these creatures, these Homo sapiens to us today? It's the talk about human evolution over time, right? And so this is biological evolution. So, and this is what it's found. So for a long time, evolution was thought of as something that happens gradually over time. What new evidence and new analysis has showing is that actually it's massive events that cause these bursts in change and transformative change. And over human existence, it has been about climate change, right? And now, when I say climate change, don't think about modern debates about climate change or anything like this. Today, when we talk about climate change, we talk about humans' impact on climate change. It's been known for a long time that the planet's climate changes all the time, right? throughout its history. You've had ice ages, things like that. The debate today is whether or not and to what degree do humans play a role in that. Now, when we're talking about this in the class here, we're talking about climate change in the past where we know there are cycles. Now, what caused these things? Shifts in the Earth's rotation around the sun. You can tell from the data that the Earth's rotation has changed. Sometimes it was at times it was closer or further away, and that changes by gravity, things like that. Other ways, geological changes. These are tectonic plates, right? The continents we know today weren't always there, right? They were combined way back when in Pangaea, one giant continent. Other changes is from ice age, right? When there's an ice age, it freezes up the water, so it reveals more land. When it warms and the ice melts, the oceans rise and it covers up more lands. And, we're going to see how that can have a impact. Other dramatic changes in climate, that can affect rainfall and temperatures. We know this, natural disasters, volcanoes, things like that can change the climate, change the growing seasons, change how much water there is, that sort of thing. And that all has an impact on evolution biologically. And that's what we're going to look like. Again, what's the human impact on environment and evolutionary change? Well, that's one of the ideas today, right? That is really what we're talking about with climate change today. But again, remember, what is that going to have to environmental change? Who knows? There are, could change maybe some, the way humans interact with the world and evolve. We know it's changing animals, right? This is why some species die. This is why some species exist, right? So when you think about Darwin's theory and origins of the species, Darwin was asking big questions, and because 97% of all life that's ever existed on planet Earth has gone extinct. Why is the other 3 that are currently alive, the other 3%, what makes them different, right? That's the kinds of questions he was asking. So, but yeah, again, you'll see this in your textbook, that sort of thing. It will go into more of that. Historical ages, how old is the Earth, that sort of thing. This is the current scientific consensus based on evolutionary findings, research, chronology, all sorts of things, from everywhere, from physics to, archaeology. The belief is the universe is about 15 billion years old. The Earth is about 4.5 billion years old. And African apes, which, eventually our branch of the animal kingdom, will branch off of this. They've been around for 23 million years. So think about that. Humans have only been around, for a fraction of a second in this large. If we hold that the universe is really 15 billion years and the Earth has been here for 4.5 billion years, human existence isn't that long, right? We're in year 2021. If we say they settled the first Neolithic revolution was 12,000 years ago. So let's say human civilization's been around at the longest 12,000 years. Just think about that in the grand scheme of things. Just give you an idea of this grand view. And what I mean is the grand overview of history. So early hominins and adaptation. Again, for a lot of this, I'm just going to go through this, but really reading the textbook because it's really clear there. A lot of the slides here really just reiterate what they have. I've broken it down into hopefully easier, understandable chunks. But you see here in one of the pictures on the right-hand side is the archaeological remains of an early hominin. So what is it? The earliest one, Australopithecine. Austral meaning, because it doesn't mean Australia, because it looks like it's going to Austral, Austral, just means southern, right? So this is in the southern part of the globe here. So this is discovered in South Africa, 6 different species. These aren't humans, but they're beginning to look like humans. Key trait, adaptability, right? They could live in different climates, different regions. The oldest one we have is Lucy. That's what it was nicknamed. The skeleton remains you see here on the right. Discovered in northern Africa, brain in the ape size range, right? So this is a third of the size of a human brain. But their jaw and teeth are human-like. They walked upright, or at least could, bipedal, right, on 2 feet. But they could also skilled tree climbers, right? Again, they're not directly a genetic line to modern humans, but you begin to see creatures that and beings that seem like a human being. So what is more of this advantages of bipedalism, right? Increased options for subsistence. What do we mean by that? If you're on your four limbs, you're close to the ground. You're standing up, you could reach higher. There's other fruits, things like that. You can get more food. You could move in different ways. So there's more options for it. Increased cognitive skills. What it shows is that bipedal organisms are generally have bigger brains, better thinking skills, right? Can make objects, can use tools, that sort of thing. And again, like I said, tool making. You could also now, instead of walking on all fours, if you walk on two legs, you can use your hands, right? You can carry food, make weapons. And that's one thing. How long we say we live in a violent age today, which is somewhat true, but not historically. We're actually living the most peaceful age in human history, which is wild to think about. How long have humans been, or human-like creatures been making weapons? Since the beginning. This might say a lot about humans, but yeah, that's for you to decide. You can also migrate out of these hostile areas if you can adapt, if you can have the skills, cognitive skills to think it, you can make tools for your new areas, that sort of thing. Highly social groups, right? Just like humans are today. We hunt and gather food together. They started to develop early communication, cultural codes. We see this in animals today. We really do. They believe that dolphins and whales have different names for each other's. They'll use the same calls for certain, and other animals, other dolphins and whales will respond to those. Things like that. So this is where you begin to have these groups, these societies that begin to view themselves as a cohesive group, separate from others. They're going to grow over time. This is what evolution is. Brains get larger. Our foreheads are more elongated to make more room for our brains. Our less massive jaw. Why? Because we're not going to need to eat as many raw foods, that sort of thing. And they look more modern. What do I mean by that? They look more modern humans. You've seen them in the. If you ever seen the movie Encino Man, this is I'm dating myself. It's a movie from the 1990s, but it's about this Brendan Fraser's and this idea. They're digging in their backyard. These guys find a block of ice with a caveman frozen in it. When he comes out, he looks like, your typical caveman. But, then they give him a shower, cut his hair, put him in modern clothes, and he looks like he could fit in, right? That's what we mean by look more modern, right? If you just put them in their clothes, they look like us physically as humans. And this is you've seen these before in many ways. This is the evolutionary chart, they argue, of human beings, right? Of the evolution of man, as they say. Again, where do you find this? Like I said, the earliest the evidence of early hominins you can see on the map here in Hadar, what is Ethiopia, Tanzania, Kenya, all the way down here in down in what is today South Africa at the very bottom, the Australopithecine. So again, but notice where it's not in other areas yet, and that's where we haven't found them so far. These are just some images. This is what archaeology is like. It's a lot of digging in the ground. It really is. Again, that's from there. This shows how humans have evolved. These are from your text. So the first humans, Homo habilis. So one of the questions, what traits are most decisive in determining the difference between early humans and bipedal apes? Humans, human habilis, meaning Homo meaning a true human. Here again, the difference is large brain, systemic and large tool use. Animals do use tools. They've actually think some apes in the forget the ones, but they found evidence that they actually do make very specific tools. That they may have, some apes have entered their own Stone Age. They create their own tools. That they use different tools that are shaped differently that they make, not just stuff they pick up off the ground. And carry them with them. Birds will use tools. If you've ever been near a beach or water, picking up birds will pick up crabs and they'll drop them on certain rocks to be able to break them, right? That is technically using a tool. Other animals will do that, but that's just picking up something and breaking it. What we're talking about here is actually creating tools that are fit for the use, right? Difference between a hammer and a screwdriver. You got to know when to use one or the other. They're innovative. That's what we mean. When they find a new problem, they create something for it. They pass on their lessons to offspring. And we've seen this other places, evidence in other societies, in cave drawings, that sort of thing. Where do we see most of these? Olduvai Gorge in Tanzania, Lewis and Mary Leakey, the first intact skulls here, cutting and scooping tools, passing on knowledge of offspring. Again, I've seen evidence of this in some places. They have this out in Australia, one of the places where I've been to some of the ancient sites out there. They have what looks like at Uluru, a giant rock in the middle of the outback. Look it up. But they have this like overhang underneath where you can see where the fires have burned ever. There's actually rocks. It was like an early school where they were teaching their culture and other ways to that. We can see animals teaching, their young, right, to hunt, right? You just don't know how to hunt. You're taught these things. So that's what we're talking about. So what does homo habilis mean? I should have said it before. I'm sorry. It is skillful man, right? What's the skill? Creating those tools. That's things. All right. That is the end of lecture video 3. I'll see you back for the next lecture video on the next slides here. And these just Olduvai Gorge. And here's where we'll pick up in lecture video 4.